Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our review of House of the Dragon, Season 1, Episode 8. It is time to pour one out for our guy, Viserys. The king is dead. It is sad. I love Viserys. I'm just going to say that. Amazing character. Not a great king, but amazing character. Patty was so good.
Yeah, Patty was so good. And that scene with him at the dinner with his family, so good. I mean, Patty, yeah, we're gonna miss you. He was a decent king. He wasn't the best king. He wasn't the worst king, but he definitely cared about his family and he cared about people. And I think that that's a very rare trait sort of in this world in general, and especially with a king.
Here's the best thing I could say about King Viserys. You did not murder your subjects. Like, you were at least that far ahead of other people on the Game of Thrones tree.
Yeah.
We are going to talk about the death of Viserys, what that means, all the sort of moving parts, because we are about to get into like next level throne chaos where everybody is just like straight killing each other.
Absolutely. But before we get into that, it is Matt's birthday this week. So hit that subscribe button if you want to give him a little gift. Yes. Also, we have lots more House of the Dragon coverage coming up. We're covering all kinds of stuff here at the channel. So hit the subscribe button, follow us over on Instagram, Matt and Jess TV. We have a bunch of pictures up from the birthday celebration this weekend.
Okay. We'll just get the ending talk done right away because all of this is just so emotional, and it just feels like I feel so bad that like everything that has been done at this point to try to secure Rhaenyra on the throne, going against like all the perceived notions of how ruling should be at King's Landing, all of that is going to be potentially undone just because Viserys was so sick and so deteriorated at the end that he couldn't tell Alicent apart from his own daughter, and he said the wrong thing to the wrong person.
Yeah, it's really crazy that that's how it's all going to sort of start this huge problem within the family. Because, I mean, we even saw at that dinner where Alicent and Rhaenyra had those moments together where they were basically toasting each other, and Alicent was like, "You're going to be a fine queen," and she was like, I am here. I'm going to support you through this." These two women finally on the same page. We had another huge time jump of 6 more years. Man, they are just jumping around on the show. But yeah, that whole twist at the end where Viserys was dying, he thought he was talking to Rhaenyra, he was talking to Alicent, he's talking about Aegon. There's more than one Aegon. I mean, and also with all the names being so similar, we got Aegon, we got Aemon, everybody's names are very similar, which is causing some chaos because now Alicent thinks he was talking to her about, Aegon being the prince who was promised, and there's multiple Aegons, and she thinks it's her son. Oh my God, he's such a disaster.
No, he's not prince of anything.
No, but the one thing that Rhaenyra said about Alicent that is true is she was very devoted to her king, to her husband, and did everything that he needed her to do. And with this sort of being his dying words, she now has misinformation.
Here's the thing here. This is maybe there's a little bit of a tinfoil hat, but I'm going with it anyway here. It's just that, is Alicent just hearing what she wants to hear in this moment? Like, does she really know somewhere in her heart of hearts that what the king actually meant? Because this is somebody who is around him all the time. Like, she's got to understand more than anybody else that like he's going to mistake people for others, but in between the influence of Otto, in between, her own desire to sort of keep the family name intact, I do think that sort of in the aftermath of, her Aegon going complete and total disaster with the hand servant and all that disgusting stuff he was doing, I think that was really the moment that was just like, you know what? Rhaenyra, you can be the next queen. It's fine. I support you. I think she fully got on board, but I think hearing those lines kind of caused that switch to flip a little bit. And now all of a sudden she's back into trying to justify these thoughts that were in her head. And maybe even if a part of her's like, no, he wasn't talking about my Aegon. She's just running with it now.
I think that there has to be some of that. I think part of the other problem is just there weren't conversations where, Alicent and Rhaenyra and Daemon were all kind of with him at the same time. I mean, we even saw King Viserys say that Rhaenyra is his only child. Like, there really is that sort of disconnect of what Viserys knows to be true and what he thinks to be true, and his mind isn't all there. But Alicent knows this. She has been here day in, day out. She knows that he's not of clear mind. So, and even in that conversation where he's kind of talking about the Song of Ice and Fire, and she's like, what are you talking about? Like, she knows that he's not all really there. She is hearing what she wants to hear, even though she knows her son is like a legit problem.
This whole, I think, closing scene is a great reminder of how for Viserys, there is the family that he loved and then the family that he had to have, because we all know how that's important in Westeros. And, that's why he calls Rhaenyra his only daughter, because that's like the only child that I think he really fully cherished. Didn't seem like that great of a dad to his other kids with Alicent. And I think that's why, in the closing seconds, he's just like reaching out and sort of saying, my love. The director's done an interview with Entertainment Weekly, and they basically just said that, Patty told them who he was thinking about in that moment. But I think we can all assume he was thinking about Aemma, the woman that he really, truly loved.
Yeah, we've seen on the show that after her passing, he was still holding on to her wedding ring and thinking about her. I mean, she was always there, and passing into death, I'm sure that's who he was talking about, and he was meeting her on the other side. But let's talk about that dinner scene, because I really liked that, they had been feeding him, milk of the poppy over and over again because he was in so much pain. He couldn't think properly, that he finally was like, no, I'm done with that. Yeah. My family's here. I know I'm at the end. I want to have this dinner with everyone. And that speech was so good. And not only that, but the way they kind of set up the table too, where he took off his mask and one side of his face was still mostly intact. And the people that were sitting on that side were Rhaenyra and Daemon. Yeah. And the other side of his face that was not intact, is missing his eyes, his flesh is rotting, is the Hightowers and, Otto and Alicent. And I feel very strongly that was done on purpose to sort of have this is the side that is intact, that he feels the strongest about. This is the side that is falling apart with Alicent and Otto, and he knows it.
I didn't notice that, but I think you're right. I think that's a really cool little directing choice that they made, because that whole scene, I think, was just full of so many like interesting little moments. Like, you can tell in the speeches, obviously, even before Aemon goes up there and just goes like full toolbox with his just snark and throwing out how strong.
Oh, he thinks he's the next Daemon. He's got a poster of Daemon on his wall, but he is no Daemon.
No. Aemon is a poser. He is a loser. He deserves a lot of whatever horrible stuff that tends to happen to this guy. He's just such a jerk. And that's really the thing. There's a lot of bratty children within the world of House of the Dragon right now. Like, some of these, we're moving forward in the time so fast that, I mean, some of these kids are going to be full-fledged adults before long, but they're really going to have a hard time kind of winning me over at this point, because I'm just like so invested in like Rhaenyra and like all of these older characters that I'm just like, who are you to infringe on this story that we love?
Yeah, and here's sort of a bit of my issues that have been going on with the show, is that they are moving time so fast, and they're doing these huge time jumps. Like last week it was 10 years. This week it's 6 more years. Like, how much further are we going to just continue to jump around, that I feel like I'm missing out on a lot of stuff that I really, would have wanted to see. We had, Rhaenyra and Daemon finally get together, and you can see that they're really in love. But it's like 6 years has passed. Here's 2 more children. I'm pregnant with another child. I'm just like, oh man, like I feel like I'm missing out on some stuff. And I wish that this first season was just gave us a little more insight into those time periods instead of jumping over them to get to the next, big moment. I know that Game of Thrones moved very quickly and had a lot of sort of these big moments, but we didn't jump around in time so quickly. It was over seasons that we were jumping around.
I'm just going to say this. I have no inside knowledge, but this is sort of my theory on it. I'm going to call it the Ted Lassoification of House of the Dragon. I know these two shows have nothing in common, but from the start, Ted Lasso had like a 3-season plan that they were trying to achieve. And we know House of the Dragon's been renewed for a season 2 already. Mm-hmm. We don't know how long this show is necessarily meant to go, but I know there's source material. I kind of wonder if they had something similar to Ted Lasso here, where they were just like, okay, we're going to tell this story in this many seasons, and in order to do this, we need to, make it so that we have these time jumps pretty early on because we have other things to get to. And I understand them wanting to, tell a story that's packed and full of stuff, but I agree with you. It is moving forward so fast that we're losing a little bit of the nuance here and there. I think they can balance it out. Like, you guys can still give us a lot of really intense stories without dragging your feet and making things go forever as well.
Yeah, I think it does just make it a little bit harder to get attached to people and characters in this, where it's, we had the first few episodes are all when they were younger. And then we had this big 10-year time jump with new actors who are all doing an excellent job. And then, within like a week now it's, we're 16 years in the future. It's kind of like it is moving in a way that it is making it difficult to really get attached to people. Now we have all these, grandchildren where I'm still trying to get my handle on, who's who, who's doing what, who has beef with who, all that sort of stuff that's going on, that it's moving fast.
It is time now.
Hold on, guys. It's moving fast.
I'm going to create a new segment here. Daemon's Domain. We're going to enter Daemon's domain.
Daemon rode for his family so hard. So hard in this episode. I loved every single minute of it.
My favorite moment of this whole episode is Daemon helping Viserys get up on the throne. So, for a character who has basically killed people in every single episode of this show so far, He's got such a warm heart somewhere amidst like all of the darkness and the terrible things that he has done.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is I don't think, the show hasn't shown me this, that Daemon was ever like disliked his brother or wanted to steal the crown from him and kill him and have him, out of the way. We even saw the conversation ages ago with Corlys where he was like, I can talk about my brother any way that I want. You will not disrespect the king, your king. Anybody's my brother, so I say what I want because we're siblings. That even in saying that, you could tell how much he loved him. And that moment where he helped him up and put that crown on his head, I was just like, beautiful 10 out of 10 moment that where Daemon really showed where he was just like, I really do care about my family. I care about my brother. And then in the next, few minutes, we've got him riding for his wife where someone's going to call her names, call out, the children. And he's just like not having it. He just tuned him up.
I nearly had a heart attack when that happened, by the way. I'm not surprised that it did, but it was just like
I'm not surprised.
It was so sudden. And I sort of have to just hop into the clown car and like drive myself around in it right now because I made such clownish assumptions about Daemon at the start of this show. I thought he was going to be Scar from The Lion King to Viserys' Mufasa, and that this was all where we were going, that Daemon's just going to be the villain who's out to destroy. And that's not the story here at all. I think sometimes maybe Daemon probably fancies himself a ruler. I mean, we saw him, quote unquote, rule a little earlier on in the show, but I think he sort of recognizes the bigger picture. He recognizes his place sort of within all of Westeros. And I think a part of that right now with him is I'm going to be a good husband to Rhaenyra, who I do love. I'm going to be a good brother to Viserys, who I also do love. I think the years have just allowed him to be a little bit more settled, but also still be incredibly, incredibly awesome. I could watch Matt Smith play this role like any day of the week. I wish there was like 10 seasons of him.
Yeah, it was. I think that this really showed that a lot of his roguish, boyish, ego and all of that, it's still in him, but a lot of it is settled now. And the thing that I think settled it is his marriage to Rhaenyra, where he reconfirmed his commitment to family, to his brother, to his wife, to her sons, to, their children, that, he really is he's just riding for the family. And if you're not part of the family, then you're not part of anything.
All right, we only have a couple episodes left this season, and I think we're being set up now where anything could happen at any point. Like, anybody could die. There's going to be battles sort of left and right. And here's sort of the issue with all of this, is that Alicent is going to move forward with the knowledge that she supposedly has about Aegon. She can use that to her advantage. She's been settled in King's Landing for a long time. Rhaenyra and Daemon, they haven't always been there. So she's got the connections that Rhaenyra does not. She's got a very sort of powerful X factor here in Larys, who didn't really have much of a role this week.
No, but not really.
He's still out there. He's already shown he will do literally anything, regardless of whatever alliances Rhaenyra is trying to form at the Stepstones and trying to figure out best ways to move forward. That's like, none of that's going to help you that much if you basically have all of King's Landing working against you.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I mean, it really, this whole season has been a big setup to what happens when King Viserys dies. Is it really going to hold true who he put as heir, or now that Alicent has this information where she's going to be like, his dying wish, this is what he said. It really is going to be just sort of like what she said, because he's not there to really, confirm anything anymore. Like, he could have said nothing and she could have come out of that room being like, this is what Viserys told me right before he died. There's no way to really confirm that that's exactly what he said. And if she brings it up the way that he brought it up, talking about the Song of Ice and Fire, then at that moment, Rhaenyra could be like, he thought he was talking to me. That was something we were talking about.
I'm loving so much what this show is doing right now. Like, it is moving into like one of the best shows on TV territory right now.
Oh, for sure. It's excellent. And it's fun for us because if you're new to the channel, we've never read any of the source material on purpose because, as you guys know from the people who are book readers, the books and the shows are always different. They always make a lot of different decisions and, kill characters that still live in the books or vice versa, keep them alive longer, whatever. So one of the things that we've done is we've not read the books so that we can just look at the show just as it is.
Well, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what we're going to think about the show the rest of this season. Yep. And of course, hopefully there's more of the Game of Thrones universe coming beyond all this. Just confirm the Jon Snow spinoff already, you cowards.
Oh, it's absolutely coming. I mean, Jon Snow is coming. I cannot wait. That is just a world wide open.
I really, really hope so. And all right. Well, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you here next time.